Hey guys, start busting ass! All those guns better be in by sundown! Hey! Who the hell placed the cannons right next to the bonfires? Trying to kill all of us, are you?
I'm sensing some tensions around the base. The anticipation of a possible Satsuma Choshu attack made everyone anxious to hurry with preparations for the war, myself included. Today I had awoken early to perform some chores around the magistrate. Hey, Harada and Nagakora, I'm sure the two of you are tired. I prepared some tea. Want some?
Oh man, how nice of you. Thanks, Chizuru. But you know what would make this real great is if you filled all of this with some sake instead. Don't be stupid, Shin. Save it for later. Sorry, Chizuru. I know you've been working non-stop too. You must be tired as well.
No, I'm perfectly fine. This is my job, after all. If I were a man, I would be able to do my part by serving or offering labor to help, but this was the only thing I knew how to do to prepare for the war. Make tea. I felt bad as the two of them laughed, perhaps trying to lighten the mood.
No need for the long face, sweetheart. Leave the fighting to us.
Sweetheart? My goodness, Harada.
Yeah, we'll just force those Satsuma Choshu assholes away and get back to headquarters stat.
Oh, right! He was right. With any luck, the fighting would be over before we knew it. The two of them had always been so dependable, so I couldn't help but feel a sense of relief as I handed them their tea. Well, it's good to be optimistic. Everyone, the weather has been cold recently, so please enjoy some warm tea.
Oh, thanks, Yukimura. If you could leave it there.
I also made some rice balls, so please feel free to enjoy some of those as well.
That is good to know. I have not had a thing to eat all day.
Aww. I carried tea and a light meal to each of the men. Saito and Inoue, as well as some of their men, had been drawing plans upon a large map.
With the Uji River south of here, I assume the enemy camps would either situate themselves here or here.
Yes. We only need to look for an area that would be conducive to a large gathering of forces. However, we shouldn't underestimate them. The Satsuma Choshu are gaining momentum.
I am certain their momentum is only a result of the shogunate's loosening of power. What is truly concerning is that their morale is increasing. However, as it stands, we still have the tactical advantage in terms of numbers. If it is a matter of holding our ground, we needn't worry. What matters is sticking to our objective.
Saito and Yamazaki nodded in agreement. I listened to their conversation as I continued to hand out the tea and food, but it seemed like everyone was convinced, even if the fighting became dire, that we couldn't lose. Just then...
"'Kay, Soma. I hear you."
Echoes of a more serious, intimate conversation came from the inner yard, and I looked over. Is that Hijikata and Soma? I wonder what they're talking about. Let's snoop.
Everyone's convinced that victory is all but assured, but I don't think we should underestimate our enemies. When I was in the Shogunate army during the Choshu expedition, the Shogunate thought they could just waltz in and teach the rebels a lesson.
He became a lordless samurai and joined the Choshu expedition as a member of the Shogunate army.
Then, when the action started going down, the Shogunate army ended up losing. So, if I'm hearing you right, you're saying we're gonna lose too? Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that yet. Look, I'm not trying to call you out. I don't mind listening, just give it to me straight. To put it frankly, I think this battle is going to be pretty tough.
It looked like the two of them were locked in a pretty serious conversation about the war. After Hijikata's urging, Soma seemed to come to his conclusion.
During the last Choshu subjugation, I may not have been in the front lines, but I remember everything pretty clearly. We couldn't even touch them. Every time the Satsuma Choshu fired their guns, everyone flinched because they knew it meant dead allies. I just can't explain what we're up against until they're right in front of us. You have to see it.
The gap in artillery between us and them is something I've been worried about for a while. But then again, we can't just roll over and take it without giving it our best.
Yes, sir. I understand.
And we can't worry too much either. That won't do much to stop the bullet when it's coming for you. But I'll take what you said into consideration. We'll come up with a contingency plan should things go to shit. Hijikata was acting respectfully, letting Soma know his input was valued, and as he turned to walk away, he seemed deep in thought. Hey, Soma? I approached Soma timidly, and he seemed to have snapped out of it immediately to look at me.
Yukimura? Did you hear all of that?
Yes, but just the end of it. So, you really think that this battle will be a tough one?
Yes, but I'm sorry. I shouldn't be such a downer before the fighting's even started.
Although I couldn't hold it against Soma for voicing his concern, it sounded fearful. I knew that Soma wasn't the type of person to exaggerate for no good reason either.
I just hope that my paranoia about it all ends up just being me assuming the worst.
I felt for him. The other Shinsengumi men hadn't even entertained the thought of losing at all. However, no matter how much I told myself that it was all under control, I couldn't help but worry. It wasn't even a matter of winning or losing. Regardless of the outcome, I was afraid of thinking what could happen should one of the warriors become seriously hurt. As the rumbles of war continued to build, I could only let out a sigh. Welp. Someone knows what's coming. Luckily, the shogunate army had ally domains, such as the Aizu and the Yugeki unit in which Iba had joined. Oh, hello, Iba. The moments until the eventual breakout of war were lessening, and the shogunate pulled every ally they could towards Kyoto. Within Fushimi, a war council was called upon to delegate strategy, and Kondo had been invited. Soma, Shimada, and I had been accompanying him as his guards and assistant, and we were on our way back to the magistrate after the meeting. Oh, really? So we're with him this time around when he gets shot? Is that what's going on? I'll see.
Oh boy. I do not think I will ever get used to spending time with government officials.
You did well in the council, Kondo.
Chief, if you're tired, would you like your horse?
Oh, hello, horse. Behind us was a horse being led by Shimada, and Kondo turned to look at it. However, he simply let out a hearty chuckle and he shook his head.
Riding the horse may be the more comfortable option, but I feel like walking is good for me. I wouldn't want to become stiff. Besides, the magistrate is just up there, so hold on to that horse, would you, Shimada? Understood. Then we should hurry before sundown.
Right. Is that the tea shop? Looking around us, the city of Fushimi was turning into a lovely shade of orange, the sky, glowing over all of us. For some reason, it felt a little melancholy. News of war had reached the citizens, too. Many shut their shops indefinitely with signs.
So, Chief Kondo, how was everything at the council? Everyone seemed very on edge about the whole thing. I mean, I can't blame them because the Satsuma Choshu are right on our doorstep.
So the war is inevitable then, yes?
Yes, the onus is on the Satsuma Choshu to pull their troops if avoidance were to happen, but I have no hopes for such a thing to occur. In fact, I believe they are trying to capitalize on the shogunate while it's still vulnerable. This will likely be the toughest battle we've fought yet, and as Shinsengumi, we need to show them what we're made of.
Kondo gripped his fist tightly, and he nodded to himself resolutely. As I watched them speak confidently, I found myself begin to speak out almost reactively. Are you not afraid, Kondo?
What do you mean by that?
Once war breaks out, that means you and all of your men would potentially be exposed to violence. I realize my statement may have been an affront to the many warriors willing to risk their lives. In response, Kondo squinted his eyes slowly, answering in a soft, calm demeanor.
Of course I'm scared.
What?
What? Chief, I mean Chief Kondo. I thought you just the question of...
I thought you just the question off? What does that mean?
It is nothing to be surprised about. Believe it or not, everyone is worried about potentially dying. However, there is something more scary to me than dying. Do you know what it could be?
Neither me nor Soma could think of an answer, so Kondo smiled and answered for us.
What is even scarier is having to live a life that compromises your values. You would be betraying yourself and turning your back on your dreams. However, if you keep your resolve, success is all but guaranteed. But I am not talented enough to do so. Additionally, I am sure that compromising my ideals wouldn't be a good reflection of myself. That is what gets me thinking. No matter how I may die, if my death is an honorable one, then that is all I could have asked for.
I can only imagine what Hijikata would have said if you were here. Don't be stupid. You dying would just create problems for the rest of us. Considering he was the chief of an entire organization, Kondo had a gift for candor, which made the thought of possibly losing him even more difficult. He possessed a way of words that resonated deeply in our hearts.
You know, Chief Kondo, Okita was talking about how your charm makes everyone want to follow you. I feel like I have a better idea of that today.
Aww, blushing Kondo! Wow, I didn't know that was a thing.
Aw, shucks, you're making me blush. Damn it, Soji, I had no idea he said that about me. Honestly, I am more surprised Okita would say something so kind to other people.
Yeah, he also told us about some of the old stories from back at Shie Hall.
Shie Hall, eh? Wow, surely he told you all about it, but I ran a tiny dojo in the countryside. And now here I am, representing the shogunate in an official capacity for a real battle. I suppose that one could say that my dream has come true. At least partly, right?
Kondo grinned from ear to ear, looking at Soma as he spoke.
Come to think of it, this has to be the biggest battle you've been a part of since joining the Shinsengumi, isn't it, Soma? Yes. Ever since joining, there haven't been many battles that required my involvement. So for us to come this far, I plan on giving it my all. I won't consider failure an option. That's the spirit! You're fighting with us as a member of the Shin...
He really got shot.
Chief Kondo?
Seemingly out of nowhere, a gunshot was fired and Kondo suddenly choked on his words. Then, our chief had fallen to the floor. Blood was gushing from his shoulder, pooling beneath him when suddenly we heard a rustle. We get him?
No, it wasn't deep enough. Reload! Who's out there?
Shimada, no! We need to save Kondo first!
Besides, there could be more assassins. Don't stop now, it's dangerous.
His shoulder had been bleeding non-stop, and Kondo's skin was growing pale from loss of blood. Shimada, watching us from behind, was looking for any sign of the gunman.
Okay, you're right. We need to get out of here before we're surrounded. Hurry, put the chief on the horse.
I helped lift Kondo, who was soaked in his own blood, onto the horse, and we all started sprinting through the main road. Damn it! After him! The sound of gunfire echoed behind us as we ran. We had no choice but to keep running. I can't believe we were actually here for this scene. Once we'd arrived to the magistrate with a wounded Kondo in tow, the place erupted into panic. We carried Kondo, who was writhing in pain, into an empty room, and Yamazaki and I worked to stop the bleeding. Thank you, Yamazaki. Some time had passed, and it was evening. Yamazaki and I had been taking turns looking after Kondo, whose condition had stabilized. After Yamazaki relieved me from watching him, I headed to my room to get some sleep. Kondo was shot right through his shoulder. The bullet had pierced straight through, but the bone had been shattered. Its closeness to his carotid artery meant if we didn't treat his injury immediately, he could die. Also, if he doesn't have the bone set correctly, then it's just as likely he'll never use his arm again. However, this location didn't have enough supplies required for an intensive surgery. I was pacing in the hallway, thinking about how to proceed, when I saw a shadow approaching me. Soma.
Yukimura, how is Chief Kondo holding up?
Well, his condition has stabilized a little, and the gunshot only hit his shoulder. But if we can't do much for him here, he'll only get worse if we don't get him to a doctor as soon as possible.
I see.
Soma grimaced, tightening his hands into fists.
An update came from the front. The culprits responsible for the assassination attempt were the remnants of the Guardian of the Imperial Tomb.
The guard? What? Could it be Miki?
Well, we didn't see him at the scene, but there's a high chance that he could be involved. I mean, the motive's there, and he has a pretty big grudge against the Shinsengumi.
Flashback. I recalled seeing Miki during the wee hours of morning after the Eberonicoji incident, and he cursed us before vanishing back into the darkness. Every time I remembered the way he hissed towards us with hatred, my hair stood up.
Whoever it was, it doesn't change the fact that the chief was attacked and his life's in danger. The captains all blew up. Especially Okita.
Okita is hurt already?
Yes, I just talked to him.
Anyone who considered themselves a member of the Shinsengumi knew just how much Okita respected Kondo. Thinking about him hearing that his mentor had been shot would have invited a furious rage I would have been afraid to see. Why did you tell him, Soma?
I had to. Okita trusted me to protect Kondo, and I couldn't do that.
Aww. Gotcha. So you're trying to tell me that you were right next to him, Soma, but couldn't protect him. Is that it?
Yes, sir. I deeply, deeply apologize. You asked me if I was able to risk my life for him. This is all my fault. If only I were more careful.
Forget it. Dismiss, Soma.
Huh?
I said you can go. Will you get your ass out of here?
But wait! Is that really all you have to say?
What? You want me to sock your gut or lecture you or something?
Yes, I'm prepared for that. Even if you ask me to cut my stomach.
And don't take it the wrong way, Soma. If I'm mad, it's not at you. Truth is, I'm mad at myself for not being there myself. Besides, with what right can I blame you when my sick ass is here in bed? I can't even guard him. Shit, if I wasn't sick, I could have gone with Kondo.
Okita.
Look, if it's really what you want, then fine. I'll punch you once. Only if, it'll make you feel better.
Oh, Soji. So, what did Okita do?
Well, he punched me, but...
Soma's hand shook as he touched his cheeks. But he continued on, wincing as he spoke.
But when Okita punched me, he had no strength behind it. He kicked my ass over and over and over again when Nomura and I trained with him. But now, he's become so...
Soma. I think if Okita had hit him as hard as he could, Soma would have felt some catharsis. For Soma, I'm sure Okita was someone he admired greatly. The Shinsengumi's captain of the 1st Division. No matter how hard the two of them trained, I'm sure neither of them thought they could ever beat Okita in a sword fight. But that didn't seem to be the case anymore, and seeing someone he'd looked up to in such horrible shape must have been deflating for him. I reached out to touch Soma's cheeks. Wow. Do I get a picture of this? It didn't seem like he had been punched at all.
Yukimura? What are you doing?
Shh, don't move. I held Soma's head tightly, drawing him in towards me in an embrace. Whoa! Who are you and what have you done with Chizuru? I wanted to comfort him as he seemed to be consumed by survivor's guilt. Okay. You're too honest with people. That's why you're so sensitive. If he just wanted Okita to know what had happened, he could have sent anyone else to tell him. If he had done so, then he wouldn't be feeling as guilty as he was. But even so, I was sure that he was in no position to impose such a task on anyone else. Soma was far too direct and serious to trust this with anyone else. I can't really tell you not to worry, of course, but please, don't put all of this on yourself. When Kondo was shot, you weren't the only one watching it happen. I was there too. Shimada, too, was there, and he feels just as guilty as either of us. No matter what people ask of you, they can't expect you to protect someone all the time. Placing that burden on yourself will tear you apart.
Even so, I could have protected him. I wanted to show everyone that I was strong enough to protect him. I wanted to be strong.
How long did you cuddle for? Why didn't I get a picture? I feel so robbed. As we held each other, I wasn't sure how much time had passed. All I knew was it was nighttime, and the calm silliness? Stillness, wow, my eyes. The calm stillness was only interrupted by the distant chirp of birds in the distance. Soma was still feeling a little bit of shame, and he slowly removed himself from my arms. Are you okay now?
Yes. Sorry about that, Miss Yukimura. I am embarrassed you saw that side of me.
Oh, it's Miss Yukimura now, is it? Don't worry about it. Soma, perhaps because he'd only been with us for a short while, seemed emotionally guarded at times, which caused me to stop and cherish this moment of vulnerability he was sharing with me. As I was contemplating these thoughts, I could sense someone was approaching us. Very slowly. Oh, hello.
There you are, Soma and Yukimura. Oh, Commander Hijikata,
Not a word. No way could you have stopped the attack with how many of you there were. Kondo was shot because I didn't give him enough guards. The fault's entirely mine. I was shocked. It seemed Hijikata had been feeling the same guilt that we were. He was biting his lip as he spoke, and I could see lines of worry on his face, even more than usual. Hijikata, have you heard anything on what's going to happen to Kondo from here? Although his condition is stable, we can't really do anything more for him here. Then...
I know. As luck would have it, Dr. Matsumoto's staying at Osaka Castle. So I'm gonna have Kondo and Soji, whose condition is getting worse, escorted there. Then I should...
Soma seemed a little confused, maybe expecting Hijikata to say he would be going with them. It was only natural, since both Soma and Nomura had been serving as Kondo's pages. However, it was clear that being left behind only served to deepen the degree of Soma's guilt. As Soma fell silent, Hijikata reached his hand over to his shoulder, patting it lightly to comfort the young man.
No, these are the chief's orders. If your desire to fight hasn't waned, then he wants you to stay here and use it. This is... the chief's orders? Mm-hmm. Kondo's just regained consciousness only a few moments ago. He said, the only ones who should accompany me are those unable to fight. Follow your heart's desire. He went on to say, even before you were my page, you were still a warrior. Chief. From the big man himself. What's it gonna be, Soma? Understood. As a warrior of the Shinsengumi, I would like to stay behind and fight alongside everyone.
I'm so happy for you, Soma.
Thank you.
He nodded proudly, stopping to stare at me with a twinkle in his eye. Oh. He seemed to be caught up in his own thoughts before turning once more to face Hijikata.
Commander Hijikata, Chief Kondo said that those who can't fight should go to the Osaka Castle along with him, correct? So, would it be possible for them to take Yukimura with him?
Aw, he wants her to be safe. What's going on? You guys are, like, so in love all of a sudden. It's great. Huh? But why?
Soon there's gonna be fighting everywhere. I believe Yukimura has fulfilled her duty in terms of her chores and all she's done. So...
Soma looked at me worriedly. I have a job to do as well, sir.
Soma. Kondo said only those who can't battle are the ones who should depart with him, right?
Yeah, so that means...
No, it doesn't. I can still fight.
Soma looked dubiously at me, but I looked him straight in the eye.
As soon as the fighting starts, there will be many men who will suffer injuries and worse, and even more chores. There can never be enough help. Although I may not be any good with a sword, much less a gun, even so, there's so much that can be done. Even if it's not your way, it's the only way I can fight.
Whoa, such words! Good speech.
Only way you can fight.
Soma had been taken aback, and I continued.
So, I plan on staying here. I may be no warrior for the Shinsengumi, but I've come this far hoping to see whatever becomes of the Shinsengumi until the end.
But Yukimura...
Soma looked like he was about to say something. Unexpectedly, however, it was Hijikata who came to my support.
Hey Soma, what's the big idea? Trying to get her away from the battlefield. Well, because it's dangerous here. Listen, when you say things, you need to just come out with it. You're afraid she'll get hurt like Kondo, is that it?
Oh, Hijikata's face turned so quickly. Soma was stunned, and he couldn't even look at me. Hijikata then turned to face me.
Honestly, I planned to send you to Osaka Castle originally, but... hearing that you've already made up your mind, I doubt you'd let me. I'll inform the others. Soma, I gave you the responsibility of being Kondo's page and guarding her. Don't run from your duties, got it? There won't be second chances this time.
Wow. Hijikata waved his hand lightly, then spun on his heel to walk away. Wow, I am in a huge debt to Hijikata. Yeah, you are, girl.
The words of Hijikata and Kondo were ones that I will treasure for as long as I live.
However, I could wager that they had been engraved even deeper in Soma's heart.
Can I ask you something? Why do you want to stay behind so badly, Miss Yukimura?
Well...
From what I was told, you intended on leaving the Shinsengumi as soon as you'd learned where your father was.
That's true, originally at least. And I didn't think I'd be with the Shinsengumi as long as I have. I had just been terrified, if I'm being honest, of all the warriors. I thought every day that they would just kill me. But the more time I spent with them, the more I felt like I belonged with the Shinsengumi. Come to think of it, I was just like Soma. Keeping this in mind, I looked straight at him and continued. If someone I cared about deeply had lost their life while I was far away from them, I think it'd be a regret I couldn't ever get over. I'd be obsessed with thinking, if I were there, would there be something I could have done?
In reality, of course, it was probably unlikely that I'd be able to do anything about it even if I was there, but even so,
I wanted to live free from the burden of regret. And something else. I can't just abandon you like this. I don't want to leave you by yourself.
Ugh.
There it was. Soma's face turned into a fragile expression showing how deeply he cared. My statement was said partly in jest, but Soma's face only turned red out of embarrassment. I smiled kindly towards them, offering a question in return.
Well, I can ask the same question to you, Soma. What is keeping you here? You have the choice to leave with Kondo since you're his page.
Well, it's not too different from you. I want to be a part of the Shinsengumi, and I want to fight alongside them and follow their same path. To me, the Shinsengumi represents everything I'd always aspired to be as a young warrior. I wish for nothing more than a place to belong. I want to be a part of the dream envisioned by the Shinsengumi.
Right. I'm the same way. I stand no chance on the front lines of the battlefield. I've lived almost my entire life as a girl who needs the protection of others. But even if it wasn't on the battlefield, I wish to see the fate of the Shinsengumi until the end.
As my voice trailed away, Soma stepped closer to me, the scent of chestnut coming from him. Interesting.
Yukimura, would you mind showing me your pinky?
Sure, but why? For the picture we saw earlier. Soma grabbed my hand tenderly and he wrapped his pinky finger around mine. You guys are so cute.
This is a vow.
I felt his heat from our entwined fingers. Wow. It was as if, for the first time, Soma was revealing to me his true affinity for the Shinsengumi. The warmth shot throughout my body, and I almost panicked from the sensation. Such intensity. Soma? What's gotten over you?
Let me apologize for one thing. What Commander Hijikata just mentioned was true. As you know, I feel like I failed in my mission to protect the chief. I had been so consumed by the guilt that I pushed you away, the person I'm supposed to protect. However, after speaking with you now, I know for sure. Pushing someone close to me will only make me regret more, and if I'm going to protect you, I'll need you by my side.
He gripped the fingertip a little tighter. And to reciprocate, I held on to his pinky even more tightly.
I vow to stand by you until the bitter end, come what may. No matter what happens to either of us.
Aw. How sweet!